You're listening to Proverbs 910 Ministries podcast, No Trash, Just Truth, with hosts Chris Paxson and Rose Spiller.
You can find everything on our website, proverbs910ministries.com. You can even contact us straight from the website if you have any questions, comments, or would like to inquire about us speaking at your next women's event.
Welcome back. Today, we are honored to have a special guest with us, someone who's helping the most vulnerable people created in the image of God, the unborn. Our guest today is Kelly Lester of ProLove Ministries, which was featured in ProLife magazine and was a finalist for the 2022 ProLife Impact Award, sponsored by the National Prayer Luncheon for Life. Kelly, welcome.
Yeah, Kelly, we are extremely glad to meet you.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Oh, we're happy to have you, and we really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks. Well, I appreciate you making time for me.
We are excited for you to share everything you and the other amazing women are doing at ProLove, especially after what's happened with the Supreme Court ruling sending the abortion decision back to the states just last week. But before we get to that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, again, thank you, ladies, for having us on. Obviously, this discussion is one that we should have been having for the last 50 years, and many of us have been having, but the fire has been turned up, and so I'm glad to be here sharing with you. You were calling me before we got on the expert, and in many ways I am an expert because I have been on all sides of this discussion. I myself had my first abortion at 15. I had 3 subsequent abortions after that. So I have had first trimester abortions. I have had a second trimester abortion, and I have had an abortion by pill. I also, during that time period, worked in an abortion facility. And so I saw what happens behind the doors of the abortion industry. And now I lead the sidewalk advocacy chapters, 2 of the chapters in my town. So I'm standing on the sidewalk helping counsel women. Now work for these ministries and through that get to help women across the nation. Also, we testify for pro-life legislation. So I have literally been on every side of this discussion and can answer many questions, hopefully, but I appreciate really the time to share with you.
Well, that's wonderful because everybody has a lot of questions. And we are going to get to ProLove because we want to talk all about it, and that is going to be our main focus. But before we do that, if you could just educate us on a few things. Excuse me. We watched the movie Unplanned, which is Abby Johnson's story, and it is a powerful movie. In fact, in the first 10 minutes, they show an actual abortion. I'm assuming it's a first trimester abortion because it's through the tube, and it is an image that will never leave you. You know, one of the things we learned about Planned Parenthood is they do ultrasounds, but they don't let the mothers see the ultrasounds. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm wondering, in your opinion, how many abortions do you think could be avoided if they let the women see the ultrasound of the baby beforehand?
Yeah, I think that many abortions, I mean, as far as number wise, I don't know. I do know that NIFLA, who is an organization that trains ultrasound technicians for pregnancy centers, they have the statistic that 75% of women who see an ultrasound at the pregnancy center choose life. Now, I don't know, honestly, how many, we are at ProLove, we are not about inflating facts or statistics. And so I don't know how many of those women were life-minded when they went in and chose life, you know, but I do know that that the ultrasound does make a difference. Seeing the baby, hearing the baby does make a difference. And just to go back to one of the points that you made earlier about seeing a typical abortion procedure in the movie Unplanned. The reality is that is not a typical abortion procedure. That abortion procedure, they used an ultrasound to guide the doctor's hand while he was doing the procedure. Planned Parenthood does not do that because that procedure takes too long. So a typical abortion procedure is a blind procedure. Everything is the same in what you saw, except they are not using the ultrasound to help the doctor see what they are doing inside of the uterus. And obviously he can't see that. And I tell people, imagine you've got a wet paper bag. That is what your uterus would be like. And they are in there with a vacuum cleaner that's 50 times as strong as a typical vacuum, and blindly trying to get the contents of that paper bag out. And then afterwards, they take a knife, a scraping utensil, a curette that has a knife, and they go in and they scrape the inside of that paper bag. And so the chances for there being an error, the chances for something being missed, the chances for ripping or tearing or, are so huge. And in that scene, he could see somewhat what he was doing, but that is not a typical procedure. And Abby will tell you that of that instance was actually factual, but there was a visiting doctor coming to her facility who had this technique of an ultrasound guided abortion. And they wanted her to see that because it wasn't something that they did. And they were debating whether or not they wanted to continue in that procedure. They chose not to because it took too long. So, but that was not a typical procedure way that they did at her facility. So it just compounds the dangerousness, how risky it is for women in this. People talk about it being a safe procedure. It is not safe. Obviously, it's not safe for the baby in the womb, but it's not safe for the mother either because of the way that the procedure is done.
And Kelly, that is something that ProLove Ministries does deal with, correct? That's one of the 6 things they do.
Yes, ma'am. We deal with we have ProLove Ministries as an umbrella ministry for the pro-life movement. And so our goal when Abby started and Then There Were None, which is a ministry very specifically to abortion workers. And since the time she started, we have over 600 abortion workers who have left the abortion industry and come through our ministry.
Praise God for that.
Absolutely. We have 8 doctors who have laid down their instruments of death, and over 25, I think we're almost at 30 facilities. Now, who knows how many because of what's recently happened, but up until the decision, over 25 facilities that had closed their doors because workers had left. Wow. So she started that. And as she was doing that, she realized that there were some gaps in the pro-life movement. Pregnancy resource centers are obviously amazing, and they have held up the pro-life movement for the last 50 years, and we are so thankful for them. But there are many services that they don't provide, many needs that they can't provide. And so that is why she started ProLove Ministries. And so with ProLove Ministries, we have projects that are things that we have started that come under our 501c3 umbrella, not to get too technical legally, but that's what that is. And then we have other 501c3. So these are other ministries, organizations that we have brought under our ministry because they are doing something in a bit of a different way from other ministries. An example would be, people ask, do you have any adoption agencies that you work with? We have one, and their name is Abiding Love Adoption. And why we work with them specifically, because there are thousands of adoption agencies. We work with them because they focus on the birth mother. And they want to make sure that she is taken care of. They don't deal with the family that's doing the adopting. They don't really deal with the placement other than how it deals with the mother. And they want to make sure that she is taken care of. And I can tell you, if you are somebody out there who's considering adoption, do your research, because we have had in the last 60 days, we have had 4 cases of birth mothers who were placing their babies for adoption, who were not being taken care of, who were really not being loved well. And so make sure that you do your research, because these women are doing such a gift, giving such a gift of themselves, and they really need to be taken care of and have therapy afterwards. Think about them. They are doing this wonderful gift, but they are leaving with empty hands and an empty womb. Yes. And, it's very difficult. So we need to, the pro-choice side talks about adoption. Yes, we need to improve adoption. We need to make it easier. We need to, make it cheaper.
Yes.
But we need to take care of these mamas who are doing this, so we're not sending them back into the trauma that they came from.
Exactly.
Did that answer your question? Sorry, that was kind of a lot.
No,
Yeah, that was perfect because like I said, I saw on your website that you are helping people get out of that industry.
Yes,
and so when you mentioned it, I just wanted to go there for a minute.
yeah.
Kelly, would you say like the majority of women who have abortions today are, you know, what is the impetus? Are they ignorant of the facts of an abortion and the risk to themselves and what the procedure actually is like for the baby? You know, and why do you think Planned Parenthood and these other organizations work so hard to make it seem like it's really just nothing, just some tissue?
So there has been a lot of change over the last 50 years, which is one of the reasons, quite honestly, why we recently saw this decision of Roe versus Wade being changed. 50 years ago, there was not the ultrasound technology that there is currently. And, you know, they didn't know the stages of the child in the womb. And that argument of it just being a clump of cells was something that was actually believed by the medical profession in many ways, and for sure by people in the abortion industry. As time has changed, as medical techniques have progressed and ultrasound technology, I mean, 4D technology, you can see every detail of that baby. Even the typical ultrasound, I remember when I was pregnant, showing my mom, and she was like, oh my goodness, we didn't have that, you know, when I was pregnant with you. So through that, we have realized the development of the child, you know, where their heartbeat is, you know, the time when they have fingerprints, and they have all of these different things that a clump of cells. So you have also noticed, if you've been paying attention, that the dialect of the abortion industry has changed. Okay. It used to be safe, rare, and legal.
Right.
And that was because we could just say that it was a clump of cells. Well, that is no longer the rhetoric. The rhetoric now is on demand without apology, because no one can deny an ultrasound. No one can deny the stages of development. No one can deny those things. Now, there can be discussion about sentiment, you know, meaning consciousness. Is the baby a conscious being? At what stage does that happen? And you'll hear some people say that. You have heard some people talk about the humanity, you know, or its inability to survive outside of the mother's womb, and so therefore the viability of it, so therefore it's not as valuable as a child, you know, as a child outside of their womb. You may hear those kinds of arguments, but you very rarely hear anybody say clump of cells. Now, I have seen some of that, but quite honestly, those people don't know what they're talking about. The majority of people who are intelligent and logical, those are the kinds of discussions that you will hear. So I say all that to say, women going in to have abortions, 78% of them do that because of financial reasons, meaning they don't have the money to pay for this child. Or it could be that they are in school and they are afraid that if they do not have this abortion, that they will not be able to continue in school. Or it could be that they are a successful businesswoman, you know, or entrepreneur, and they're concerned that if they have this child, it will affect their job. I can tell you that I had my first abortion, goodness, it's been 30 years ago now. I knew that I was killing my child. Women do not have abortions because they have a kidney stone. They have abortions because they are pregnant, right?
Right.
No woman thinks that she is pregnant with a kitten or pregnant with a turtle, you know?
Yeah.
She knows that she is pregnant with a child. That being said, we tried to maybe pacify that, you know, or fix that feeling by saying, well, it's just a clump of cells, or it couldn't survive on its own, or it's either the baby or me. I don't want to have to choose my life. My life is as valuable as the baby, you know, or the fetuses, if they say that. They'll oftentimes say baby, quite honestly. We've gotten to that too, where it's not even called a fetus anymore. They just blatantly say baby. And so with that, there has definitely been a change of the dialogue. And so that's where, yes, we need to educate people on the procedures of abortion. Women need to know what is happening in abortion. I can tell you that Planned Parenthood is not telling them. Informed consent, which this is something we fight for. I testify a lot on. If you have any other kind of medical procedure, the informed consent, the nurse will come in. I had knee surgery not long ago. The nurse comes in, marks your knee. This is the one we're operating on. This is the one we're not. Goes over the entire procedure with you. Says words that you have never heard of before, have no idea what she does, but she's letting you know, right?
Mhm.
Do you have any questions? No, I don't have any questions. Then the doctor comes in. He does it all over again. Goes over the whole procedure, everything. Do you have any questions? No, I don't have any questions. Then a nurse will often come in again, do it again, right? You
Mhm.
have your procedure. At the end of the procedure, they tell you to have someone in the room with you because you're under anesthesia and they want to make sure that the directions are being passed off. They go over the procedure. This is what happened. If there was a complication, this was the complication. This is how we fixed it. Next steps, we need you to do A, B, C, and D. Expect to see A, B, C, and D. Do you have any questions? No. If you have any questions, here's the follow-up, right? It's this extensive,
Right.
that is informed consent.
Mhm.
At an abortion facility, they hand you a piece of paper, which I usually have one right here, that's about 6 pages long with some lines that you initial, that you understand what's going on. Maybe you watch a video about it, maybe, but most of them don't do that anymore either. Then you go in, you have the pregnancy test, you have the ultrasound, which they do not let you see. Oftentimes, even if you ask to see it, they will not let you see it. They get you medicated so that you don't know what's going on. They then will put you in the procedure room, ready for the procedure. So in the stirrups, the doctor never speaks to you. He comes in or she comes in, does the procedure in under 5 minutes, goes to the next room, does the procedure in under 5 minutes, goes to the next room, on down the line. They take you to recovery room. They give you, you're sitting there for 20 minutes. This was part of my job at the facility. I walk in after 20 minutes. I give you a cookie. I give you juice. I give you your belongings, hand you some paperwork, maybe some birth control, and send you out the door.
Wow. Oh my
No
goodness.
discussion of risk, no discussion of options,
Mm.
no discussion. Now, if there was a complication, and this is why I left the abortion industry, just like in the movie Unplanned, if you
Mhm.
haven't seen it, you need to see it,
Mhm.
where the woman was hemorrhaging in the recovery room.
Yes.
The number of women that I saw hemorrhaging in the recovery room that we would take back to the operating room, fix them up, and then send them on their way, never telling them what had happened in that room, was why I left. Because I realized those women may not have been ready to be mothers that day. And so we were helping them. You know, that was the lie that I believed. But those women may not ever be able to be mothers.
Oh my goodness.
And that
Wow.
wasn't something that I could handle.
And in the
so-
movie, they said they drugged them extra so they don't remember any of it. Is that true?
Absolutely. So the majority of abortions are done in a twilight sedation. For a lot of people, you know, when you get up into my age, you start having colonoscopies and some of these things, right? So you have a twilight sedation. It's a mixture cocktail of drugs, which does act as it does anesthetize you some, so it helps with pain. One of the main things it does is it's an amnesiac. So you do not remember. So you do not remember.
Wow.
And so for these women, many of them who are saying, oh, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad of a procedure. It wasn't that bad of an experience. It's because they don't remember it. I don't remember, other than the abortion by pill that I did at home, I don't remember any of mine. I remember walking in. Some of them, I don't even remember the entire day.
Wow.
And so thereby, it's very easy to say it wasn't a big deal if you don't even remember that happened to you.
Right.
If the rooms are dirty, or if something happens, or if something goes wrong, you don't remember. So it protects the abortion industry from being liable. It protects them from giving good care. It protects them from, you know, many different things. And so, you know, that's the thing. And you were asking about, you know, the industry has even changed, where they used to call it a procedure, or they used to call it all these different things. They have started using the language abortion, because they want to normalize abortion. They want it to be a normal, just like, remember, I don't know if you, I'm sure you ladies remember, but 10 years ago, no women talked about getting Botox, right? That
Right.
was like something people
Right.
did, but nobody talked about it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, Botox is like going to get highlights. You know, we've
Mhm.
normalized it
Yes.
to where
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. It's accepted. It's normal process. They want abortion to be the same thing.
Yeah.
And so they're saying it, they're speaking it, they're talking about it, they're advertising it. And because we want to desensitize women to it.
Yeah. Well, that's Satan's
And
whole
so-
goal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The more we-
Absolutely.
The more we normalize sin, the more, it'll seem like nothing.
Well,
Absolutely.
let me ask you this. Why do you think there's such a bloodlust for abortion? I mean, it's unlike anything else. We've seen companies who are willing to spend thousands of dollars to let their workers get abortions. Like, what is it about abortion that the left becomes so unhinged? It's a badge of honor and bravery when you've had an abortion. Like, what do you think it is?
Well, I think spiritually they're trying to destroy the image of God. I mean, that's plain and simple. They're trying to destroy the image of God. They're as well trying to destroy the family. And the many people don't know this, but one of the other main industries that Planned Parenthood has gotten into, aside from abortion, is transgender hormone therapy.
Wow.
I did not know that.
No.
Many people did not. There's one of the facilities that I'm over here in Richmond, 75% of the people going in there are men, and they're going in for transition therapy.
Wow.
And so again, why is that? That seems like such a random jump from abortion to that. No, it's not. It's the same thing, trying to destroy the image of God, image bearers.
Mhm.
In the image of him, he made them man and woman,
Right.
trying to destroy that, as well as the family unit. If you
Yes.
are a homosexual without assistance, you cannot have children. And so the family unit is destroyed and the image of God is destroyed. And so that's one aspect of it. So that's the spiritual aspect of it, which oversees everything, of course.
Mhm.
The other thing is money. Plain and simple, cut and dry money. And these industries that are helping Apple, Amazon, Uber, Citibank, I mean, honestly, Dick's Sporting Goods, there's not
Disney.
many that are not. Yeah, Disney, of course.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that these companies will pay for these women to travel out of state. They will pay for them while they are gone. They will give them paid leave. If they have children at home, they will pay for them to go into childcare. They will pay for everything. If a woman goes for an abortion, the most amount of time she's going to be out of work is 1 week.
Right. It's saving them a lot of money.
1 week she's gone from work. If a woman gets pregnant, she is going to be out of work for 12 weeks. Not only that, but they are going to have to increase in their insurance benefits. Not only that, but they're going to have to increase the insurance for the children. Not only that, but that woman is going to become less productive at work because she now has a child. She's going to be calling out sick because there's snow days at school and the kid's going to be sick and all of these things. And so she is not as valuable of an asset in their minds. Of course, we don't believe this to be true, but in their minds, not as valuable of an asset to these companies when she becomes a mother. But I can choose to pay $2,000, let's say, to fly you somewhere and get this procedure done, and you'll be back at work in a week. And I have saved you. And so now your allegiance is even more to my company.
Yes.
All about the money. It's all about the money. Every lobbying organization, Planned Parenthood, if you look at their year-end report from last year, which they publicize, they talk about, this isn't hidden. Every number on their report went down except two numbers of abortion and money. And they talk about women in poor communities. These poor women in poor communities that are, they're going to have to parent and, they need abortion. They don't give those women abortions for free. They still charge those women. So if they thought that abortion was the answer and that they were really serving these women, why wouldn't they pay? Why wouldn't it be free for these women? But it's not. It's $5,000 to several $1,000s These women are having to choose between paying their rent or having an abortion, and they're not helping them with that. So yeah, it's go back to the money,
It's always about the money.
About that. It's always about that.
Wow. Well, Kelly, let's talk about ProLove, because I have been so impressed researching this organization, and Rose has too. We just want you to spend a lot of time telling us what are the different things that they do. And, you know, I know we said that there are 6 things under this umbrella. There's a couple we want to, you know, concentrate on, but why don't you give us an overview first?
Which is a comprehensive database of all of the abortion facilities in the United States. Now that is important because you can go on there. Now the state facts are going to be off because of this overturning, but you could see every state and the facts on abortion. Do they require a waiting period? Do they require parental notification? Does it have to be a doctor who's performing this procedure? Do they do telemedicine? All of those kinds of questions. And you can see it very simply and quickly and easily, state by state. It then has a list of all of the abortion facilities, and you can click on those facilities and see the inspection reports from the health department of those abortion facilities. Now, what's interesting, I'm here in Virginia, talk about my state of Virginia. We do not have any inspection reports past 2018 because abortion facilities after 2018 were no longer required to be inspected. So your tanning salon, your nail salon, your med spa, who does your Botox, they were all required to be inspected, are still required to be inspected, but your local abortion provider is not.
What was the reasoning for that?
We got a Democratic governor.
Oh.
Plain and simple. I mean, that's honestly what it was.
Yeah.
And in 2018, they failed every inspection. So it's not like they were these beaming, you know, shining places.
Wow.
They had failures, and we still stopped inspecting them. And again, why? Money, because we don't want to pay the money to do it. So that's one. The other that we have is called hurt after abortion. So if you are a woman who has been injured through an abortion, you can contact us and we will get your records, and we will connect you with Thomas More Society. They're an amazing Christian litigation group, and they will go after the abortion provider and try to get you compensation. That is going to become even more important as we are moving from surgical to chemical abortions, which I'm sure hopefully we'll talk about a little bit, but where women are doing this in the secrecy of their home, under no medical supervision, under no medical guidance. And there's going to be lots and lots of issues that are going to happen. And so this will help with that. Then the third one that I'm super proud of is Loveline. Loveline is a 24-hour crisis line for women all over the country who find themselves in need. And I said earlier, you know, pregnancy centers have been holding up the ProLife. They do a wonderful job, but many of them do not have the resources to help these women holistically in every area. 78% of women, like I said, have abortions because of financial reasons. Most pregnancy centers do not have the resources to help pay rent or help pay a car payment or help in that financial need. They are there for spiritual guidance. They are there for discipleship, many of them. And oftentimes they, you know, help with baby showers and all of that kind of wonderful stuff. But if a woman is debating between going to school or having her child, they don't have the resources to help with that. So that's where we come in. Most of our clients have complex trauma, meaning these are not, you know, just the typical cases. These are the domestic violence, the homeless, the drug addiction. We have many undocumented clients, women who are, you know, in lots of very difficult things. Almost all of them have suffered trauma. And so they contact us. We have a hotline, so they contact us. I'm one of the people that helps with that hotline, and we text back and forth with them, get some general information from them. Currently, we are helping women who are pregnant or women with children under the age of 4. We had to limit it just because we had over 30 new contacts just yesterday alone.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yes. And so after the heartbeat bill in Texas, our calls increased 400%. So we are, you know, very, very busy. And then once they do that, we then give them an intake. We get their financial information. We find out, are they working? Where are they living? Who are they living with? All of those kinds of details. And then we connect them with a case manager. That case manager becomes their person. All we need is one person saying, you can do this, and I'm going to walk with you and help you. And so this case manager becomes that person. And that case manager will find out what their needs are. Oftentimes what they think their needs are not actually what their needs are. And our goal is to never get them a no. We always want to get them a yes. And so we will be the buffer zone for them in that. So if let's say it's housing that they need, which we get a lot. That is the main issue in the United States. If you have the ability to house these women, we need your help. Shameless plug. So we would call and her local resources and try to find her housing. Now, we're not going to give her a list of places to call because she's in crisis. Right. And that is overwhelming. And we don't want her to hear, no. Then she's thinking, I can't do this. So we call, we get her a yes. And then we connect her with that resource and have her make the call to get the yes. Now she's going, okay, that's a yes. I can do this. I've got them with me and I got a yes.
That's amazing.
And we continue on that process. We also have therapists. We have therapists on staff, licensed therapists. Our therapist is an EMDR certified therapist. Because we want to find out why she got into this problem. Now, we're not doing that on call one, of course, but wanting to help her get out of that. We also have a financial coach who walks with them, talks with them about budgeting, talks with them about spending. If you get your nails done, maybe you could go every 3 weeks instead of going every 2 weeks, trying to do those kinds of things to help them problem solve, because we don't want them to just have the baby. We want her to have an abundant life. We want her to be a good mother and be supported. We want her to continue in school. We want her, we know that if she feels loved, encouraged, and supported, she'll choose life and be a good mom, And so that is where our focus is with Loveline.
Is there any spiritual counseling along the way?
There is. There's always spiritual counseling. I mean, it's definitely, I tell people this, when a woman is drowning and she's in the ocean and she's drowning and you're on the boat and you've got a life jacket, but you see there's sharks in the water, right? We're not yelling, hey, there's sharks in the water.
Right.
We want to give her the life jacket,
Yeah.
Get her safely. And then we say, look, I know you don't know this, but there were sharks in the water, right? And so that's where we, everything we do is out of the love of Jesus. Mm-hmm. We often don't have to start the conversation. They ask. Why are you doing this? No one else would help me. What's different about you? And then that's just an open door that we gladly walk through. And many of them were already believers. A lot of them were abused, or there was different things. And so we definitely try to connect them with groups. Embrace Grace. They are not part of our ministry, but we are sisters and we love them dearly. They do discipleship in churches. And so we will absolutely try to connect them with an Embrace Grace group. One of the ministries that we have is Mama Scholar, where we connect with Embrace Grace. And when women have graduated from that, we give them scholarships so that they can go back to school or continue in their education. Excuse me. So yes, it's definitely a partnership. Doing a lot of talking this morning.
That's amazing.
Have a little water.
Well, since you brought up the chemical abortions, what is going on with that, and maybe talk about that?
Sure. So last year, 52% of abortions in the United States were chemical abortions. Many people do not know what that means. So I'll give you a little breakdown of that. There is, so you take a series of 2 drugs. So you take misoprostol and mifeprec. The first pill that you take, it stops the estrogen going from your placenta to the baby. And so basically it starves the baby. You then 24 hours later take a second series of pills, which cause your uterus to contract and cause you to, have the actual abortion. The many states no longer require that you see a doctor. So the only accurate way to determine gestational age is with an ultrasound. The way that they are doing it is they say, what was the date of your last menstrual cycle? Based on that, they come up with a gestational age. The FDA has approved use of this pill for up to 9 weeks and 5 days, or 9 weeks and 6 days. So up before 10 weeks, it is approved. So when I'm talking to you, let's say I'm the doctor, you're the patient, I'm going to ask you when your last state of your cycle was. You tell me, okay, great, you're in that 8-week period. I then either one of two options. You will then either have to come into my office to take the first set of pills. Most states do not require that. Or I will mail you the pills, and you can either do it by Zoom, where I will watch you take the first pill, or I'm not even monitoring it at all. And then 24 hours later, again, same thing. Some states require that you go back into the office. Most do not. So we will either do it by Zoom, or you will do it at home by yourself. That is the most supervised. There are now many, 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 many websites where you can just go online, fill out a form, and get the pills sent to you. We wanted to test that. One of them was a facility in India. And so we called them, Abby actually contacted them to try to get the pills. They asked her how far along she was. She told them 9 weeks and 5 days. They asked her how old she was. She said she was 18. They asked her for an ID. She said, I do not have an ID. They said, okay, well, what we need you to do is get a piece of paper. On that piece of paper, write your name and your birthday, and take a picture of you holding that piece of paper and send it to us. That was verification of age. $150, send us, and we will mail you the pills. Oh, and by the way, they will be there in 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
So that has taken this woman who is claiming to be under 10 weeks to now 14 to 16 weeks.
Wow.
The process to do this at home by yourself at 10 weeks is grueling and horrible. I've been through it. To do it at 14 weeks or 16 weeks is incredibly dangerous. Incredibly dangerous. Again, if you've seen the movie Unplanned, that is a very accurate portrayal of what happens. Abby's was a little bit longer as far as the amount of time that she bled. I don't know that that is typical, but the actual experience, the bleeding, the cramping, the clots, all of that is 100% accurate. And the mental and emotional toll that this has on women is far more than any other procedure. Because like I said, the other ones, many of them are being sedated. You're being sedated in some way, whether it's Valium or a Xanax or the cocktail of drugs. You're being sedated in some way. With this, you are not being sedated in some way. And you are having to see what has happened.
So you're basically in labor, right? They
You're
put
completely
you in labor.
You are completely in labor. And so the trauma of having to see this, the calls of, I've had this happen and now I'm looking at my baby in the toilet and I don't know what to do with the baby. You know, those kinds of calls that we're starting to get in. It is very, very, very emotionally and mentally traumatizing. It's also very physically dangerous. And that is what Planned Parenthood is really pushing. That is the method that they are pushing. And they are advising women that if you do this process, to go to the emergency room, not to go to an OB, but to go to the emergency room and tell them that you are having a miscarriage and that you have, complications from the miscarriage. So this is another piece. After this recent law, you're hearing all these women say that women are being jailed for miscarriage and women are going to go to jail for miscarriage. And, there's going to be people are going to be prosecuted for miscarriage. That is a very tactical plan because Planned Parenthood does not want women going to the emergency room and saying they're having a miscarriage. So let's just say hypothetically that they were not putting that out. And now abortion by pill is the main way that women are, let's say in the state of Texas, for instance, where you can't have an abortion. But all of a sudden today, the number of miscarriages in the emergency room skyrockets because women are having this chemical abortion.
Right.
Somebody's going to go, why all of a sudden are all these women having miscarriages? Right. And there's going to be concern and people are going to be wondering. So to prevent that from happening, Planned Parenthood is saying, if you have a miscarriage, you will be going to jail because they don't want you to do that. They are not stupid. They are a lot of things, but they are not stupid.
Yeah.
And everything you see, there's a reason why that is happening. That is the reason for that misinformation. I've had women tell me, but people are being jailed currently for miscarriage. I have researched it. I have looked it up. I have searched it. The only situations where I can find where women have been jailed for a miscarriage is because they had drugs or alcohol caused the miscarriage. It was not a natural miscarriage. It was a miscarriage due to drugs and alcohol. So that, I mean, that's not you go to jail for those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So women are not being jailed for miscarriage, are not going to be jailed for miscarriage. But Planned Parenthood wants you to think that so that we do not share the truth about the chemical abortion.
And I've seen that a lot lately. I've seen that floating around, and it's, I'm glad you cleared that up for everybody watching.
Yeah, there's a lot of information, and this is very important as pro-lifers. We need to arm ourselves with truth. There's 3 treatments. Ectopic pregnancy, that's another thing that you're going to hear a lot about. Women are going to go to jail for ectopic pregnancy. Okay, ectopic pregnancies, the baby is not in the uterus. The treatment for an ectopic pregnancy is never a vaginal abortion. Okay, because the only way to do an abortion is either vaginal or by pill. That is never the treatment for an ectopic pregnancy. The treatment for an ectopic pregnancy is either a laparoscopy, where they remove the ectopic pregnancy. So they go in through an incision in your side and they do it that way. Or a salpingectomy, where they remove all or part of the fallopian tube. Again, it is not a vaginal thing. It goes in through your side, okay? The treatment for a septic uterus, which you will sometimes hear, either you give antibiotics, deliver the baby. Now, the baby may not survive, but you never have to kill the baby and then have an abortion. You deliver the baby.
Right.
For miscarriage that your body won't release is either cytotec tablets, so you would take tablets that then cause the baby to release, or a DNC. Now, this is where a lot of people have gotten confused. A DNC does not make it an abortion. An abortion is when they kill the baby and then remove the baby with a DNC. A DNC, with a miscarriage, the baby is already dead. They are removing the deceased baby. They are not killing the baby and then removing the baby. So in an ectopic pregnancy, the intent is to save the mother's life, right?
Right.
In a miscarriage, the intent is to remove the child that has already died. And in an abortion, the intent is to end the life of the child in the womb. They are very different procedures. They are even coded differently. The medical coding for them is different. And so there's a medical abortion, which would be, unfortunately, that's what they call a lot of times an abortion, a miscarriage, I'm sorry. A medical abortion is oftentimes what they would call an ectopic pregnancy or a miscarriage. That is not what every law is very specific that is not included. Everyone is very specific that is not included. The other would be a therapeutic abortion or an elective abortion. There is no code for a therapeutic abortion. And then there is, of course, a code for an elective abortion, which is what we all typically think of when we say the word abortion. And so we need to understand that women are not going to be dying from ectopic pregnancies or miscarriages. So stop spreading that misinformation. Not you all, but get your facts straight.
Yeah,
on that, because that's not
absolutely.
true.
Yeah, exactly.
You said you had doctors leave the industry. I'm just curious, and nurses, like how did they justify while they were in it the fact that they took, the Hippocratic Oath and they saved some lives but end others? And I'm not judging them anyway. I'm just curious, how in their mind did they reconcile that while they were doing it?
I wasn't a doctor or a nurse, but I participated, in the whole process. I believe that I was helping women, and abortion is a trauma response. And almost everybody, I don't know anyone who's in the abortion industry. I worked for them, there were none, and talked to, we call them quitters, people who've left the industry, talk to quitters all the time. Every one of them had a trauma of some sort in their life. And so you go in thinking that you're helping women, and then, you have scales. You believe it, you say a lie enough times and you believe it. And that really is is very demonic. You can tangibly feel the darkness inside of clinics. Even if you're not a believer, you can tangibly feel the darkness inside the clinic. If you're on the sidewalk, you can tangibly feel the darkness around those facilities. And so there is a spiritual aspect of it where you're just blinded and your heart is hardened. And as you're doing it, you know, you become more hardened and more hardened and more hardened. Nobody woke up and said, I think I'm going to go join the abortion industry today.
Right.
You know, nobody
Right.
woke up and said, I think I'm going to go kill some babies today.
Yeah.
It was,
Right.
I'm going to, you know, it's a gradual thing, one little step at a time, one little sin at a time, one little falsehood at a time. And next thing you know, you're doing second trimester abortion, you know, and pulling out full babies.
Wow.
And it is a very, everyone that I know that is left, there has been something where it was like a scale fell off, you know, or where something happened. And so for those of you that are on the sidewalk, or just, you know, believers in general, pray that eyes would be opened, that these workers would actually see what is going on, that these workers would actually see the humanity of what they're doing, you know, that there would be some kind of an encounter, as much as you hate to say this, that would wake them up to the truth. And pray for their souls, you know, pray for their deliverance, pray for all of that to happen, because it is a spiritual thing.
Oh yeah, I believe
That's
that.
the only way, you know, that's the only way that you can. And there's videos out there of doctors that have, you know, been talking to sidewalk counselors, and it's full on demonic. I mean, they are manifesting and growling and spitting and all of this.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's very much a spiritual thing. Is the only way that you could be involved in that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I saw Abby on Fox News not too long ago, and she said now that Roe v. Wade is overturned, you guys are going to take the fight to the states individually. Is that something that ProLove is going to be a part of?
Yes, ma'am. We've already been doing it, quite honestly. This past year, I and other workers helped testify in Colorado. We helped in Ohio. We helped here in Virginia. We helped in Texas. We helped in states where we are going and actually testifying, because we are former workers. You know, we can speak in a way that other people can't speak. And many of us are also post-abortive, so we've had abortions, so we can share that side of the story. So yes, we are absolutely going. I'm in over government outreach and government engagement. So we are here for you. We would love to support you and help testify for those things. Absolutely.
Can you tell us how everyone can get a hold of you and ProLove? And
yes, so you can go to ProLove.com. Go to that website. That will take you to a landing page that has, and then there were none, and then ProLove Ministries. So, and then there were none, again, just to reiterate, that's the ministry specifically to abortion workers, which we will see a lot of people leaving the abortion industry now that clinics are closing. And so put that resource out there, put this out there that we are here to help them. We don't want them to go back into the industry, you know, and we'll see workers that are very liberal, be exhausted, be overwhelmed, you know, and want to leave. And so we're believing that they're going to be leaving as well. So that's, and then there were none at abortionworker.com, and then ProLove Ministries, which is the umbrella ministry. So at that landing page, ProLove.com, you can get to both ministries. If you want to contact me, my email is AELLY@ProLove.com. And if you've got questions or concerns, or if you want help with state legislation, we are absolutely here for you.
okay, Kelly@ProLove.com.
Yeah. Kelly, we're going to share all of these, not only on this episode when it airs, but also on our website. And we have really enjoyed, you have opened our eyes to things, and we hope that so many people's eyes are opened after seeing this. And we really thank you and appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, and we will be praying for the workers. You know, you often think of praying for the babies, but not the workers. And that's right. That's a great.
Yeah, and be praying for your pregnancy centers too. There have been over 35 pregnancy centers in the last 60 days that have been attacked. And so be praying for your pregnancy centers, and you're not hearing about it on the news.
No,
if there's not many abortion facilities, it'd be front page news,
yeah, exactly.
You know?
Are you seeing any justice with that?
No, ma'am.
Mm.
We're not seeing anything. We're not even seeing organizations say it's a bad thing. So, we need to be praying for your pregnancy centers. If I know a lot of them are doing fundraisers to try to raise support so that they can get security out there. So praying for the protection of the workers in the pregnancy centers that you're praying for. Honestly, all the workers in the pro-life movement. I mean, every one of us has gotten death threats, and people are emailing us and threatening our lives. And so be praying for the people on the front lines, on the pro-life side as well, because the other side is very angry.
Yeah. We've seen that
too.
How about the police? Are local police helping with?
In the majority of areas, the local police have been incredible. Not all, of course, but in the majority of areas, they are very sympathetic. They know that we are here to help women. And so most places, yes, the police have been great. And now that a lot of the threats have kind of heightened, they've become more aware and more, reactive or helpful. But yeah, they've been good, but they can only do so much as well.
Yeah. Are you optimistic at all that this Jane's Revenge and Ruth Sent Us are going to be listed as terrorists at some point, or you think they're just going to be like Antifa and just let them go?
They are like Antifa. I mean, it is Antifa. It's basically an arm of Antifa. There were 75 people arrested in Seattle. I think it was Seattle, like 3 days ago. 75 that had backpacks with bricks and mortar and all attack a pregnancy center, and got arrested and were released that evening. So no, I don't think anything's going to happen. I think it will come under the radar, and we just gotta, the enemy is warring, but we have angels, that are warring as well. And so I was at the ProLife Women's Conference was happening right when this this was released. The Roe versus Wade decision came down. And so there were lots of pregnancy center directors there, and we're talking, and they're worried about the safety of their centers. And I said, you guys have insurance, right? And it's like, we have insurance. I'm like, you know what? If they mess it up, we'll build back better and do it better than
at least somebody will be.
Do it better than the current administration. But, we'll expand our services and we'll do more.
Yes.
So if they, that's why we have insurance. We don't want our workers, to be hurt. And obviously it's very detrimental and it hurts our hearts when you've been attacked like that. But if they do, insurance will step in and we will do better. We will do more, and we will not be afraid. We will not be intimidated by them. Our side wins.
It does.
Our side
does.
It does.
So, get involved. If you are in, your local area, find ministries that you can donate to. If you can't find a ministry, we would love your support. We need help. Put your money where your mouth is, Christians. We need to get up and, make a difference in these ladies. I've got my garage is being filled right now with baby items because I'm distributing it to clients that we have here. So, be there for these women and really support them and pray. So
they can go to ProLove.com to make donations?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep. And if you want to go to loveline.com, that's our crisis line. That's where we really need the finances because again, my phone's been blowing up the whole time we've been on here with women contacting us needing help.
Wow. All right. Loveline.com. So prayers, financial support.
Yes.
And how about if someone wants to get involved and get involved with you guys and be on the front lines with you? How can they do that?
So if you go to ProLoveMinistries.org, you can go to jobs and volunteer. We actually have some jobs posted for our affiliates that are looking for hiring. We are not hiring right now, but we do need volunteers. And oftentimes our volunteers turn into jobs. So if that's something you're interested in, you could certainly go there and get information on that as well.
All right. Great.
All right. Great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Then stay safe out there.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I will.
All right. God bless you. God bless what you guys are doing. You are making a difference. That's for sure.
A real difference. Yes. In many women's lives.
Thank you.
Thank you again.